Welcome everybody to the Chop Shop live stream fan mailbag, where you can ask us anything right now. Anything you want is on the table. We're leaving it up to the audience to drive the narrative of the show. And we just want to say thank y'all for taking your time out, being with the Chop Shop. What's going on, fellas? What's going on, Frank? What's going on, Coop?
Chilling, man. Chilling, ready to answer some of these questions. Hopefully, we can answer some of them. But I'm good, bro. What's good with you,
Yeah,
Coop?
Yeah, doing great. Had a good day. Just excited to talk some Rockets basketball, answer some fun questions.
for sure, for sure. Let me pull up the questions we got right now. We're gonna start it off with Bernardo Gato Martins. He asks, "How much potential do you see in KPJ playing the three?" You
Coop,
you
I'll
want to
let
start
you
with
rock.
that one? You
Yeah.
want to start with
Yeah,
that one,
I'll
Frank?
I'll take this. I'll just take it. As the resident KPJ fan, I think the three is really the spot for him going forward. I think we've seen the stuff with him at the one. Not the best, not the most inspiring. Someone who's really more of a scorer and like a good playmaker for a wing, not like a great playmaker for a guard. And I think moving him to the three, allowing him to defend bigger guys and play more off ball defense is really kind of the ideal version of this team, unless something really changes going into what is this, his third, fourth year in the league. So I really think that's the future. That's really the position that I believe in KPJ in. There seems to be this kind of, you have to love KPJ as a point guard or you hate KPJ kind of thing. And I think moving him to the three, letting him play his natural position is kind of that in between ground. I think that's the most logical stance at the moment on KPJ.
What you think, Frank?
I'm. To me, I guess is can he play off ball or on ball? Because in the offense that we run, 1, 2s, and 3s are very similar. Because you can get the same actions from any of those. When he's at the one, he just gets a bulk of the ball handling duties. I would like to see him play off ball. I think Coach Silas alluded to some of that in the interview he had with on the Matt Thomas show, where they say they try to get other guys to handle like Jalen, like Gup, like Knicks, and hopefully Ty coming in, where we could use some of that catch and shoot marksmanship that he has. So I think for him, it makes the game a lot easier if he could share some of those duties because, I don't think that he should be the only one in a 5-out offense that has the ball all the time. Because if you think about the guys that play that type of style, like where they're the high 40%, 35% usage guys, you're usually looking at like a James Harden, Russ, one of these like Luka type ball dominant guards, and I just don't think he's that level of a playmaker as far as reading the defense. But as far as just being on the court, being able to make plays, being able to shoot, being able to play defense, I think that he can play the 1, 2, and the 3, and I think he should play the 1, 2, and the 3 to really utilize all his skills.
Yeah. Before I go, I just want to remind the audience in the chat, you can leave a question. We will answer them. This is a live stream, so we're promoting y'all to engage with us. So have free. The chat is open to anybody that needs a question answered. And as far as the three for KPJ is, um, this year I just really want him to focus on point guard duties, since in essence that's what his job is going to be on the court, really getting people in the sets, balancing out the court, getting everybody right, distributing the ball for equal shots around, finding an open person. That's what I want him to really focus on, because we're going to be doing like a tug of war if we go in back and forward, putting them from this position to that position, from this position back to that position. I mean, he's the point guard right now, so I would just let him just stay at the point guard and see what had happened. If this year looked like a total failure, then maybe let's see like maybe transition into a 6-man role, not the three, but still have him like as a backup point guard, almost to say, to come out and just get buckets off the bench and let a more structured point guard take over. That's what I wanted him to. I just think flip flopping them back and forth would probably cause him more harm than good at this point.
Yeah, if you're gonna establish like a development plan like that, stick to it. It's like I don't remember whose quote it is, but like when you're a coach, a really quick way to lose your respect is to flip flop and change your mind all the time. And I think as much as I don't think that I myself see KPJ as a point guard long term, I think the point guard stuff is good for his development in the long term. Just working on those playmaking instincts and balancing the scoring versus the passing. I think that's a good emphasis for him, even if he's maybe a little bit in over his head at the moment.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a big jump this year. I just, my position has always been the same in that I don't think that a point like what we people expect to see from him is not something you can teach. Like all those, like if you watch a guy like Trey Young, for example, navigate screens and run a pick and roll, it's like it's almost poetry in motion. Like the way they just bend the defense with their mind. Not saying that he can't get to the point where he's a deadly pick and roll ball handler. It's just that you can't teach that stuff. But the things he has is that he is a athletic guard that's pretty big and he can score. So he has different tools. And to me, his tools lend, if we're going to focus on the scoring as his power, then he can't limit himself just to being on ball, because to me, that's a disservice to his skill set. Like, dude, you're a 50% 3-point shooter on catch and shoots. If Coach Silas can't get plays to get him off the ball, that's an indictment on him as a coach, because you have one of the best shooters in the league. Literally, like it's not even like low volume, it's high volume. He's a high volume catch and like he's a real deal off ball shooter. Get him off ball so he can help your team out. So I think that's on the Rockets to figure that out. However that looks, but you know he's just a talent. I'm intrigued enough that I'm willing to keep going with him to see what he turns out to be.
Yeah, I see your boy Kevin. Yes, we're taking questions in the chat now. Yes, the chat is open. So anybody who needs some questions answered, just drop them in there. It could be any, as long as it's basketball related and respectful. We're gonna answer 'em. We're gonna do our best to answer them. I don't know if you'll like the answer or not, but
Right, and no funny, no politics. We ain't trying to.
yeah, we talking ball here. We talking ball here.
Yeah, okay.
All right, we're gonna move right on to Magnet Nurse. Magnet Nurse. I don't know if it's a boy or girl, but it says, "Who do y'all think will have a better season between Cade or Jalen?" You
I'm
want
gonna
to
go
tackle
first.
that? You want to tackle that? Go
Let
ahead.
me rock. Let me rock, because I'm
Go ahead.
the Pistons connoisseur on the chop shop here. So now I'm gonna go a better season next year. This is actually a sneaky hard question, because you have Jalen's expected jump as a scorer, but are you gonna gauge his scoring ability, compare that to Cade's overall game? And I think that's a hard question to answer, because Cade's overall game is going to impact more than just scoring. You feel me? And so you're thinking about Cade as a rebounder. Cade is a defender. Cade is a playmaker. He's a ball dominant guy. He's probably going to be in the high 20s in the usage. So I think on efficiency, I'm going to answer it like this. I think on efficiency wise, I think Jalen will be a more efficient player. But I think that Cade, as far as impact on the team, just by default of his position and his skill set right now, I just don't see how Jalen would have an overall better season than the lead ball handler for a young team with studs all around him that we already know he could play make. So I think just by the fact that he's a point guard, he's going to have a better all around season than Jalen. But I think Jalen is going to be a more efficient player than Cade.
Yeah, I think just off of usage and frequency alone, I mean, his numbers probably will look a little better just at first glance. Like, oh, he's filling up the stat sheet but it's kind of designed for him to do that. And Jalen, he's gonna have to feed off a lot of people, and whether KPJ is reading the defenses right and giving the ball where he needs to be, like he's more codependent on teammates because that's just the way he plays. But Cade is that archetype to where just give him the ball and just let him just usage it up, and he decide who to take the shots. And yeah, it'll be ultimately on Cade to see if he just bombed doing it, if he looked like Westbrook doing it, then Jalen he got all the confidence in the world to keep on going. What do you think, Coop?
I don't really have much more to add. I think Cade is probably going to have the better all-around season, and like impact-wise, quote-unquote, kind of a really vague term. But, Jalen, I think he's probably going to come out, shoot the ball better, and that's about it. I think Cade's passing. He has better players around him. He has better fitting players around him. And I just expect him to perform at a higher level as a playmaker, a defender, as a guy who sees the floor. A lot of those areas Jalen is still developing in. Cade already, has like a higher baseline.
Yeah. What's up, Yasin Ozdemir? I hope I'm saying your name right. But he says, will we see Tari become a starter next season? How long, if so, how long will it take
For starting,
for starting Tari?
so I think that if he does get starting duties, it'll mirror the same thing we saw with Alperen Şengün, which is that because we've seen that Coach Silas and his staff be stubborn to like players that flash good, even just because they're young and they're playing good doesn't mean they're going to play. I still think we have, just like last year, there's always competing priorities of what they're trying to do with evaluating some of their players. And I think we had a space the other day where Mike pointed it out that really there's no rush. There's really no rush on you're one of the worst teams in the league to like rush players out there when you're still trying to make contractual decisions about other players. So I think the contracts and trying to evaluate guys before their contracts have to be extended, those things will supersede talent and fit right now. But I think this is the last year that happens. So in my estimation, I think that he'll start off the bench because you want to you got to satisfy Tate. You don't know EG, if he is a trade asset, teams are going to want to see him play somewhat. So I think EG probably starts at that 3 spot. And I think as we get to the trade deadline, you'll see a similar thing where slowly but surely you start shutting down some of those older players. And if they are just as bad as they were last year and they see a chance to getting into the sweepstakes for some of these guys coming up, I can see them going full out Ty, Tari, Jabari. Hell, they might even shut down KPJ and Jalen. I mean, if they're shameless, hey, I've seen OKC do it.
We're gonna get killed by national media.
We're not gonna be OKC. We saw OKC do it. They had like
OKC's on another level. Okay,
hey, you never know. Hey, so I think that towards the end of the year, after the trade, after the All-Star break, we'll probably get to see the lineups we all dream of with Jabari, Tari, Jalen, Şengün, and all that. And that I think one difference with last year and this year that I'll say is that I think those lineups are going to win games. Actually, I know last year's lineups were competitive, but they lost a lot of close games with those young guys going out there. I think this year they're going to probably beat some teams because our backcourt is just better.
Yeah, I agree with that. We got our boy Curtis Ho. He says literally the best Rockets pod. Appreciate you, Curtis Ho. Appreciate you. We do it for y'all. This is why we doing it right here. Just for we can get the temperature of the fan base. See how's everybody, rocking with the Rockets right now. How y'all feel like next year is gonna turn out. We appreciate doing this. So just keep supporting, share, liking, subscribing, and we're gonna be here for you. Here we go with Patriotic Front. Should Rockets tank next season? I want to take this one. I don't think we should tank next season, truthfully. I just think it's gonna be hard to out tank some of the tankers that's gonna be tanking this season for Wemby. You know what I'm saying? Like if we tank, it's gonna be obvious that we tanking. It's because we got too much talent now, and the pieces seem to fit to where we should just be naturally better, addition by subtraction, getting rid of some of the vets, getting rid of Seawood that didn't have no type of defensive acumen or IQ at all, and replacing them with a guy with high IQ defensive stature. Even though he's a rookie, but he can do way better than Wood. And I think just that aspect and having another wing defender in Tari that'll bother guards getting downhill on us. I think that's going to change the tide on our defense. So I think naturally we will be better. I don't see a tank unless, like Frank said, like the last month, and we close to being top 3, top 5, or keeping our top 4 protected pick for next or whatever. Just go ahead and do it. I mean, go ahead and tank, but I don't really want to see a natural born tanking season this year.
I don't think that we're going to get to choose. I think we're just going to kind of suck next year. That would kind of be my gauge on it. As much as we got better in like the worst ways, like adding length at the forward spots, like we talked about, Tari might not be getting as many minutes as we want. Our other good defender, Usman, might be back in the G League. Jabari is the only good defender who we've added that might actually get substantial minutes, and he's still a rookie who probably isn't an NBA level team defender yet, right? Especially at that 4 position where he's still figuring out how to make weak side rim rotations. And young guys just can't defend, right? It's just like scheme wise, young guys, it takes a long time to figure out how to defend. I think we're going to be better, but that's like a very low bar to clear. Like if we go from the worst team in the league to the 5th worst team in the league, I think that's still tanking, right? By the fact that we're losing a ton of games still and have basically identical top pick odds as the first worst team. It just means that, oh no, we could get the 9th pick if we're really unlucky. So I don't think we'll be the worst team in the league. I think the Spurs have a real shot at locking that up, or OKC, depending on how early they shut down Shea. But I don't think that we have a shot at like, oh, we're going to contend for the play-in and not get a lottery pick and stuff like that. And that's kind of what, like, tanking is just losing at the end of the day, right? And I think we're going to lose a lot.
Yeah. What do you think, Frank? Tank, no tank?
Yeah, I think it'll be determined by how the season rolls out. I think from what all the stuff from the interviews before the draft to after the draft, it's always been they've been kind of parroting the development. So that means that it's going to be more of the same of last year. But I think there is a little incentive for them to be better in some aspects, like defense. But the gap between them being better and being a team that's like really good and competing for anything substantial is so wide that I think even though they are going to be better and win more games, I still think they're going to be one of the bottom teams. And best case scenario, my dream world is that we are not a bottom 5 team, but we still somehow crack the bottom 5 for the draft. And, one of those, what's the team that this happened to them? Who was it that got in with like a pretty good record? I forgot who it was a few years ago. I'm trying to think. It was, oh Lord, I'm blanking right now. But, one of those teams that you're like slated for like the 11th or 12th pick, but the basketball guys just bless you and you get in top 5. So I think that's my dream world, but we'll see what happens with the team.
All right. We got a question from our Twitter feed. It's from Junior I Bulldog hashtag 3215. And it says, why is the fan base down on Tate? Shangoon and Eason would not shoot much better than Tate from 3, but Tate gets all the hate. Who want to take the bullet for Jay Sean Tate on this one?
I think our fan base is just a bunch of haters. That's the no. I think Jay Sean, like, as much. I think I'm a Jay Sean optimist. I know, at least compared to Frank, I think I'm a little bit more optimistic on Tate, but I think it's just how much of a usage he demanded on offense, basically, and didn't like run an offense at all. It was like the same drive in. Oh, I'm 6'4". Let me hit you with some post moves, doing the same stuff. And then every single time they needed him to scale back from that, he was just bricking and bricking and bricking. Every single Tate brick is ingrained into your mind because it is a shot that should go in, because it was like a shot, it was decent offense because teams aren't really defending him. And then he'd just clang it off the side of the backboard or something. And it just hurts way, way more watching Tate brick him. Şengün didn't take very many. And Eason, I mean, I don't think he's going to hit from the corners, but he shot nearly 40% from above the break in college. And I think that's really what the team should be angling to get him more looks from. But and hopefully Tate's shot is better, but the clanks are just so memorable.
I think it's just so simple for me when it comes to Tate. I just don't want him to playing the 4 or the 5. I think he just needs to be at a 3 and a little bit of 4, just like barely a little 4. Just keep him at the 3 because he's so undersized. And at the 3, he can actually have a somewhat advantage because he's so strong and have low center of gravity, the way he just don't get pushed around, to where he can still stick with perimeter players, the where he just don't have the height to deal with some of the guys from the 4 and the 5. And I think Tate will be all right. Yeah, but I just don't want to see teams just camping their big man out in the lane and not just totally ignoring Tate. We seen what that looked like, and it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, I'm high on Tate, but I'm super low on Tate and Şengün. And that's really what it comes down to. It's like, okay, Tate in a vacuum is a great player. He brings a skill set and an attitude that you love to have on a young team. The only issue is that when him and Şengün are together, the spacing is just horrible. And if you're going to run 5 out, you can usually afford to have one bad shooter. And, Şengün at this point is not even a shooter. So him not being a shooter, then Tate being a bad shooter, it really does mess up a lot of the plays and the reads and everything, that the way teams even defend us. And I think that impacts Jalen and KPJ's development because they're not really getting the true feel for what the fruits of that offense or the reads are supposed to make, because teams just aren't even honoring some of the stuff they're supposed to do. So I think Tate, if he can improve his shooting, I don't know if it'll ever get to the point where it's like, okay, he's a spacer but I think if he can be like 35% consistently, if he can get to like 40% in the corners, then, we could do something, and ideally you want him to be like PJ Tucker, where he's in the mid 40s from the corners. He could be bad everywhere else, but those corner threes are really, really killers, like Coop was saying. When you do everything you're supposed to do, you get a good screen, you go downhill, your man rolls, and you draw the defense, and they're sagging so hard that damn near everybody's under the paint. And you kick it out to the corner, and the whole Toyota Center is holding their breath. And bang, they got the microphones right next to the. It's like it hurts your soul.
Like a gunshot go on.
Yeah, they hit a little different than a regular. I was like, oh my god! So they make you kind of jerk. They remind me of Russell Westbrook misses because they just hit different. So yeah. I just, if he can get good in the corners, then maybe. I'm not down on him. It's just we got to be realistic, bro. Like Şengün is going to start regardless. So if I got to pick one of them, I'm gonna have Tate be the one that kind of take the bullet there. So yeah, that's why.
So yeah, just leading into that, since you mentioned Şengün in the starting, Curtis Ho says, "Do you think Şengün should get more minutes playing alongside other legitimate bigs, Mirjan Willie Cauliflower?" Because I think that will be able to the best utilize. I don't know if that's a typo or he being funny.
Nah, he's trying to be funny.
Yeah, Willie Cauliflower, because he be chiefing, I'm guessing. Because I think that will be able to be best utilize this game.
Marijuana Jovic.
Marijuana Jovic. Yeah, I mean, I think it's so hard with Şengün. I think because, like Frank said, I think in the space the other day, you see stretches where he plays good defense and he can stay in front of his guy and he can stay with his hands up and he can keep his hands out of the cookie jar. But then you see other, possessions where he's just grabbing, fouling, feet look slow. So I came to the conclusion like you're just gonna have to buy into the fact that he's not gonna be the best defender in the world. So yeah, in minutes you need to pair him along with another legitimate defensive big. It don't have to just be a just any old big. It got to be a big that's defensive minded and can actually have a little offensive game as well because Shangun we see he will feed the ball to anybody that's open on the court. So Willie Cauliflower, I don't know how much he got to offer, and Marjanovic, Boban. I like Boban. I'm a Boban fan. You know what I'm saying? I really like Boban, but he's slow footed as well. You know what I'm saying? As long as we can get some rebounds and stuff out of him, I think he might end up getting waived. Truthfully, and since Cauliflower got a deal already, well, you know, it's like a two-way essentially or a league minimum. But Marjanovic, I think we can end up just trading. I mean, waiving him, and I don't think he's gonna have to worry about him. But I think Cauliflower I think the reason why he is here is to bolster the backcourt. I mean, the backup center spot for Shangun.
Yeah, I think I would prefer to keep Shingun as the only true center on the floor. I think that ideally you want Shingun playing with someone who has like vertical spacing abilities and rim protection stuff. Uh, but you don't want him playing next to a traditional big where he's tasked with doing anything other than sitting in the paint. You need guys who can cover the rim and the corners, like weak side rim rotation guys, Jaden McDaniels type guys, right? Who can also jump out of the gym, be that lob threat so that he can figure out how to play on the short roll. And I don't think guys like Marjanovic and Willie Cauliflower Stein are really the answer there. Because they're both, I mean, Stein's interesting, I think, because he's a little bit faster footed, but he doesn't really have any of the traits of an actual, like you squint at him a little bit and he's a rolling and jump big. And then you actually watch him play and he has the qualities of a guy who shouldn't be in the NBA. Marjanovic is interesting, and I think I'd just rather keep him around for vet presence and stuff like that. And here's 10 minutes of Marjanovic dunking on you without jumping. But playing him next to Shingun just sounds like a defensive nightmare. It doesn't even make sense offensively because then you have to, they're not cutting. They're just sitting in the dunker spot, which kind of ruins Shingun's ability to play. He's not like throwing lobs to them. He's like making dump off passes, but then he has to beat more defenders and it's just more clogged paint stuff. And it just ruins the offense. So, I mean, ideally you want guys with those traits, but you don't want those guys specifically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I'll add, I agree with everything he said. I think we've always imagined a center like a stretch five to be the kind of center you want to pair with Shangun. And to me, Willie Cauley Stein, his thing, I know Silas likes guys he knows. He played in Dallas under Silas before when, I think in 2019 or something like that when they had that team. And they did play a lot of double big during that year. So I think Willie's going to get time to play and they're going to give him a chance. I don't think it's a coincidence that it's a guy that Silas is familiar with that he went and got. So I can see them playing. And, I like one thing I was intrigued by was when KPJ played with Bruno and they had a little thing because Bruno is actually a true rim running big. And that's a dynamic that we haven't seen a lot of this past season because of Wood and Shangun really didn't play like that. And as we know, watching Chris Paul, watching James Harden, those guards having that rim runner does really open a different aspect of that point guard play that we haven't really got to see from KPJ. That I'm kind of curious to see how he looks with an actual big that's going to run with him when he's going downhill and be able to lob it up like spamming that 10 times a game. So I think is the battle for Bruno and Willie Cauley-Stein. That might be something going into training camp to see who's going to be that third big that's going to kind of get those different matchups.
Yeah, I really like what I seen from Bruno last year in short stretches. I ain't gonna even front. Bernardo got to Martins. He says, "What you guys think about Jalen Green and Shangun defense? I think this may be the only thing that keep us out of the play-in next season." So he's got high hopes. He's shooting high in the, is it pie in the sky to think playing with, I don't know. Like we was just saying, there's a lot of teams gonna be taken for the Wemby sweepstakes. So we might just end up getting in there by default on the last game of the season. Somebody need a loss and we need a win. You know what I'm saying? You never know. So what do you guys think?
I could go first, Coop. I think Jalen is a great on-ball defender, terrible off-ball defender. He lacks a lot of spatial awareness on defense right now, which is common for younger guards because I think he's just focused on the ball or his man. And when he's focused on one or the other, he loses sight of whatever he's not focused on. So I don't think our team has grasped the team concept of defense yet. And pre-rotating and stuff we've seen PJ Tucker and the Trevor Ariza's do. There's clips that I've seen of literally from the Rockets 2017-18 team where a guy would get beat and there's already 3 guys pre-rotating to the help. Not to the help of where the guy got beat, but to the help of the helper of the helper. And if you watch the Warriors do that, the Warriors do it, the Rockets did it in the 2017, the Bucks do it, Boston did it. Go watch those teams. Like when you got the last guy already rotating to where the fourth, third, all those dudes are going to be. That's like elite defense, and we're not even at the first level. We can't even rotate to the help.
Do you remember that video I posted about the coaches and Lion Hollis defense strategy?
Yes,
that's exactly what he was talking about.
Yep,
he was saying we got to help the helper. That was his emphasis. We got to help the helper. So hopefully he comes in and instill that missing link to our defense to where everybody be on the string, everybody be on the ropes, everybody move like clockwork. We're helping the helper and make it just that much harder on defenses.
That'll take years, bro.
I'm just saying. Let's see the foundation of it starting to seep in because we did it 0 times. We did it none last year. Let's see a little bit, a little bit of consistency in that department. What do you think, Cool?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Green's man defense got a lot better as the year went by, and that's kind of where you want to see it start. Becoming somebody who's not a sieve on that end starts with not getting beat every single possession. And Green, he got there by the end of the year. He was a good stopper, used his length, still got powered through, but he's a skinny dude. It happens. I'm a lot more worried about Şengün's defense, honestly, because of his lack of athleticism. There's a lot, like you can't really play him in a drop, and you kind of have to play him in a hedge. And he doesn't have the necessary athleticism to recover every single time and use his arms to keep guys from making that pass into the paint. And I don't think we're going to be anywhere near the play-in. Sorry, I was a little bit dead-faced at the beginning of this question. So I was looking up the standings.
Nah, you good. You good.
But I think there's really only like 3 teams actively tanking and then maybe a 4th in the West, right? And that's us, OKC, the Spurs, who made a hard pivot, and maybe the Jazz, right? Every other team is gunning for a playoff spot. There's all the teams already in the playoffs, the Lakers, who didn't make the playoffs, who obviously want to try, and then the Kings, who still want to try, and Portland, who could make a shift halfway through the year if they trade Dame. But even then, I mean, they still have, I guess, nobody. They really just have Dame and Jeremy Grant. But I mean, they could try and pivot and tank, and even then, we're still a bottom 5 team in the West. I just don't really think there's a way we make it to the play-in unless there's like some crazy development or Tari or Jabari is like the next rookie sensation kind of thing. I'm not gonna rule those things out. Specifically, my guy Tari, I'm not gonna rule that out. But, no, I mean, I think we'll be bad. And the defense is going to be a big part of that.
All right. Hey, everybody that's watching, give us a little time. We're trying to get to your questions. We are coming down. We are actually, running over than what we expected that we was going to even be on here. But we coming to you. Claude 1, 2, 3, 4. Şengün is so good at making plays at the perimeter that other teams have to guard him when he is on the outside. Yeah, he can make plays on the perimeter, but he gotta, I think, develop that shot as well to just make other teams know, oh, he's not just passing out of this set. He can actually shoot out this set as well and keep them on their toes.
Yeah, I think go ahead, bro.
The driving only gets you so far, right? Like his dribble game is awesome, and it keeps it so that you can play 5 out with him, despite the fact that he can't shoot, because he's a threat to drive, and you have to get up on him, or he's gonna, create an advantage where you need that second guy to come down and help. But if he doesn't get that shot, the shot is just the extra step that really makes it like great offense instead of just, oh, it works. He doesn't need the shot, but it would be quite nice.
Yeah, I agree. I think he doesn't have to have a shot, especially if there are actually shooters around him. So if that's why with the back to the Tate thing, okay, I'm going to assume Şengün's shot progression is going to take probably his whole career till he reaches a final form where he's like a 36, 37% three-point shooter. In the 5 out, as long as he can screen, and he's a great screener, he can play. But like Hoop says, to get it to where it's damn near unguardable with his passing ability, if he was actual outside three-point shooter, then you'd be knocking on the door of Nikola Jokic at that level with his playmaking, all the skill set he brings. Another aspect of it is the development of the guards around him. So you'll watch a team like the Warriors trot out 2 to 3 non-shooters, but if you have 2 of the best shooters ever on your team, then you can get away with that in playing that 5-out motion offense. Currently, we don't have that, so it would be better for him to get that shot. But I don't think it's like mandatory. I would rather see him be a better defender than and grow in that part of his game than even develop a 3-pointer. Because with his other skill set, I think we can still be elite if he was just a solid, like consistent defender.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, Jake LeBron, he says, how hard do you think it is to learn a average ball handler for Jabari? You think Jabari will get to at least an average ball handler in the league?
I don't know, man. That's a tough one. For me, Jabari's handles are, I mean, it depends on what you mean handle. Like, can he handle to generate offense for himself? I think that'll come in like 2 or 3 years. And it's just where he's generating it from. He's never going to be like, okay, Jabari, go run this pick and roll and as a ball handler and, make the read. But I think that as a handle, as far as attacking closeouts, being able to get a couple, two dribble pull ups, one dribble pull up, sidestep, being able to jab, get kind of in a phone booth. I think with his height and high release, then he just needs to have that high post, and being able to generate enough space on a 3-point line to get off a shot. And I think that that's just something he can learn within the next couple of seasons. But he's never going to be a ISO, like I'm gonna break you down on one-on-one. If he's doing that, then the defense wins. And I don't think that's ever going to be in his bag, honestly.
Yeah,
I agree with everything you said. What do you think, Coop?
Yeah, I'm. This was a big part of why I wasn't super big in on Jabari is the handle, and the problem is handle is just really tough to develop. Like I don't think there's a single world where he's ever running pick and rolls and all that kind of stuff, and like the one dribble, the 2 dribble pull up. I think that's well within the realm of possibility. The big swing skill, handle development wise, I think is going to be more advanced closeouts where he's getting closer to the rim, maybe getting into the low block or even getting into layups off of closeouts. And I think that's really what's going to separate his more like low and mid end outcomes from his upper end outcomes. I think the upper end outcomes, he's an elite closeout attacker who has like 2-3 moves that he can use on the closeout attack. And I don't really know how likely those are. I'm not a handle expert, but if you want to like really dig into this topic, my friend Bryce just today dropped a piece on handle. Handle's really, really complicated. Lots of inputs, lots of outputs, so much biomechanically, all this different stuff. And there's probably better stuff in his article that he just put out today than I could really tell you. But I'm optimistic.
One point before we move on. I hate to always give Hall of Famers in comparison, but Kawhi didn't have much of a handle coming in either. Like he was subpar, right? I mean, I don't remember him really. He was real robotic.
He still really doesn't, honestly. Like I think
strong.
Kawhi is. he's a guardy version of Jabari in a sense, where he's naturally gonna his high end for dribbling the ball is gonna be better. He's a guardy type of forward guard that doesn't have a handle. So their peak on even his medium of becoming a better ball handler is always going to be better than a 4 or 5 that doesn't have a handle. But if you watch Kawhi's game, it's really he can bring the ball up the court, but it's still like kind of a post game. If you his
Right.
run in like Toronto where he was the MVP of the finals and everything, he did a lot of his damage really isoing in the post, high post, mid post, or just getting into pull up game, which is just lull you to sleep and just pull it up. A lot of tough shots. So he wasn't generating a lot of like space off of his ball creativity or just dribbling. His space was really his strength, being able to bump off defenders, and the fact that he's just strong and has a good release and can hit those tough shots. And that's feasible for Jabari. I think the only difference is Jabari, the entry point is not going to be him dribbling up to those spots. It's going to be a dump off from one of those guards to come in. He just got to get his thing is fight to get to your spot. Once you in there, Jalen, KPJ, give Jabari, clear out. Then
Right.
let him go to work. And that's what I see. And I think you can still be a all-star, superstar level player, as we've seen with Kawhi, working out of that position.
Right.
I think Kawhi's also just a better athlete and arguably has the greatest handle development ever. Like because
That's why I
some
said I don't really want to.
yeah
I
yeah
hate comparing guys to Hall of Famers
yeah
because some trajectories is not normal. Like
yeah
some trajectories, it's just
yeah. It's like,
an
well,
anomaly.
really learned to shoot the three, so why can't Shingun? It's like, you know,
Right.
it like Kawhi's a lot of handle is how much shift you have in your body. It's your body control, you know, all your burst, a lot of stuff like that. And I just don't know how much of that Jabari has.
I think he got like 40-inch hands too. So that
I
has
think
to
that
help.
helps.
That
Yeah.
has to help. All right, moving right on. Benjamin Gregov. Will the Rockets be a team for potential big free agency signings next offseason? And if so, which ones do you think will they land, or which one would fit the best? I ain't gonna lie, I haven't really looked at too much free agencies next year yet. I couldn't even really tell you. I'm hoping. I think the timeline lends itself to that being a time period for to make a free agency acquisition. But I think it's like the NBA landscape is so unpredictable. Somebody's going to demand a trade eventually. Somebody's going to come up that we didn't expect. So I'm gonna just sit back and wait and see how it all shakes out with that one.
Yeah, I don't
What?
think there's any like marquee free agents that's available. I think when I looked at it last, a lot of the guys that were available have already been picked up. So it's a lot of fringe players. And I just, unless they want to add a ball handler or a point guard, a backup point guard to kind of have a real point guard behind Kevin Porter so that we're not depending on Knicks and Ty to kind of man the ship if he like goes down or something like that. I really don't see any moves that they would make unless something shakes loose with the Kevin Durant trade or the Eric Gordon thing gets a little spicy. So, yeah, well, there's really not a lot of big free agents in this coming season. But next year, yeah, there's the NBA is like a soap opera. You don't know what could happen. So I think we're going to be in position definitely to make some moves in the 23-24 season.
Yeah, I think there's
Yeah.
like no real like marquee stars, but there's some interesting free agents that could really or like vet type guys that you bring in for like 10, 11 mil and like actually make an impact. Guys like Larry Nance Jr., maybe Kelly Oubre if he's more your speed, someone like a Dwight Powell or, just a lot of guys at that level of play that, can come in and add some more structure and really start to teach and develop the core instead of like figure out what is the core.
Yeah. Moving right along. Kaya and Engine. Sangoon is strong and smart enough. He just had more than enough bogus calls. Need to rearrange his aggressiveness at the defensive end. Yeah, I think he did get a lot of phantom type calls where it was like, I know he's a rookie, but come on, man, like let him play a little bit. Yeah, I see if he once he start earning some respect from the referees, he'll get he'll get a little bit more leeway. Yeah, I think falling out won't be as big of a problem once he establishes himself.
Well, his biggest problem foul wise is just that his feet are just too slow. I think he has the strength uh, to, if he can keep his feet nearly in front of a guy, and he's got great recovery speed. That's like the big redeeming factor about his defense at the moment. He's a great recovery defender. It's just that you don't always want to be playing in recovery, and he gets beat very often at the point of attack, or he's not always able to help. And I mean, that's just all feet. And he's out of the way and he's trying to use his hands. And whenever your defense is primarily hands based, like his is, trying to slap the ball, trying to block the ball, trying to jump and get blocks from behind, that leads to a lot of fouls. It's very physical. It's just how it is. There were some that were bogus, but more times than not, a rookie who's out of position, defending with his hands, even if he gets a clean block at the ball, they're going to call that more times than they're not.
Yeah, I think he just needs to he is young. All the guys are young. It's the same thing with Jalen. It's as good as he is. There's so much to his game that he can improve on. His like the feet thing is definitely there. I really don't say it's more foot speed more than foot body positioning. He doesn't put himself in positions to be successful on defense. So and then the foot speed comes into play because then his foot speed then he has to recover by throwing his hands into the cookie jars, and that's really where he gets his calls. For him, I don't think he's ever going to be like a quick, light-footed person or a big. What he can do is see from other bigs that are great defenders, being able to use his body and put himself in a position that he doesn't have to always recover, where you can anticipate things, be able to cut off even smaller guys with just by using your IQ. And I think that's something he can develop as the game slows down. A lot of these dudes, all these young players, it's like when you're first into your first year, you're just trying to survive. Once they get comfortable and understand the schemes that they're playing, you'll start seeing the defensive stuff be more natural. And for Şengün, Jalen, all of them, once it clicks for them as a team, and you can see flashes, but I think they'll be okay. But I'm not for Şengün's defense. I'm worried about it if we make it to like the second round of the playoffs. And that's within the next few years. I think that by the time we're that good, it's not going to be that much of an issue to the point that he just can't play, even if it's just 15, 20 minutes in a playoff game. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Mr. Bernardo Gotches Martins with another question. He says, what a realistic Eric Gordon trade looks like. Bernardo, to tell you the truth, I have no idea. We've been trying to trade Eric Gordon for 2 years. It's been all types of first rounders, this player, that player, speculation, this one speculation. Like he done been to every team that we can try to fit him on. He ain't gone yet. So realistically, I don't know. Theoretically, maybe I give him up for two seconds right now. Really, truthfully, just get him because he's just taking up a spot right now that he knows he really don't want to be here. There's no coincidence they keep putting him in trade talks because they keep trying to get rid of him. He don't want to be here like that. He wants to go win him a ring or at least play meaningful minutes on another squad that can just it just be more fun. You being 33 and not losing every other uh you know 10 games. You only winning one game a month, and it's just hard. It's just hard that way. So yeah, I think realistically, I don't know. Theoretically, 2 seconds he can go.
I'd love to see him go to Phoenix for Shamit and Saric. Just anything to get him a ring. That's all that I want to see. I want to see Eric succeed, and I don't think that's going to happen here. But
Definitely, definitely not.
we'll see what happens.
I think what's interesting is his contract. Honestly, if at this point, the closer it gets to the expiring of his contract, I think the Rockets almost have to restructure before they trade him now. So I'm not sure what that looks like going forward. But if they really want to do him a solid, if they're going to keep him on the roster this long, it's they're not just going to trade him as an expiring and let him go fend for himself and earn that. You know what I mean? So I think at some point, if he is here past this trade, they're going to have to restructure that contract. Hopefully it's a team friendly deal that it looks good, meaning that we could trade it easily. But I don't know. It's to me, it's really late in the game right now to really try to flip him because of that contractual situation as well.
Man, just get this man away. I don't care. Give us a 2 cream pies, some Funyuns and some hot fries in a nice brisk iced tea lemonade to go down with him. Any team can have him. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I love Eric Gordon. I respect him, but he's just in the way right now. He's like the sore thumb and the elephant in the room. Just like he's John Wall from last year now. John Wall was the elephant in the room last year. I think Eric Gordon is just the elephant in the room right now. It's like the timeline don't fit. He's way older. He's not that much of a leader to say that they just let's rally around Eric Gordon. He's not that fiery guy. You know what I'm saying? Like we not gonna miss Eric Gordon. You know what I'm saying? Like in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, we gonna miss his memes where he's doing all this crazy, like he don't know who did it. But like he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar every every game, you know what I'm saying? But I just think it's time for him to go. It's just time for him to go, man, for real.
Man, let's rally behind Eric Gordon is a sentence that has never been said in the history of humankind.
So battle cry. We are 300. Eric Gordon's leading the way. Nah, we ain't. He ain't did none of that, man. He ain't did none of that. Let's go with Uncle Trill. What's happening, Uncle Trill? Uncle Trill is one of our biggest supporters, man. We really mess with Uncle Trill around here. He says, "Did y'all listen to the Silas interview? If so, what were y'all thoughts?" I think it was interesting, you know, how he broke a lot of it down. Like he kind of peeled the curtain back of last season and the future he want to see pretty much coming up for this season as far as position battling, who's going to be in what position, what the rotation is going to look like. I was actually surprised he even went that in depth because you know, and before every game, we was wondering who's going to be in the starting lineup at 6 o'clock every game day. We never knew who was going to be in the starting lineup, so that must mean that there's more stability on the roster, that he's got more roster construction in his hands, I believe, to where he already know what the lineup is going to look like and where he's going to use certain guys at. What do you think, Frank?
Yeah, the interview was very insightful. We did a whole space on that interview, and to me, I learned a lot about his insight into things. And I love some of the key takeaways I got from the interview is that he definitely will start Eric Gordon, because when they asked him about the question of about the 5 position and Şengün and his him being the center and who else do they see can play that role since Şengün fouls a lot, and he mentioned that he has a 3-man rotation of 4 and 5 that includes Şengün, Tate, and he said Jabari. Then the next group of players he named was he said Bruno, and at that time it was Boban, and this was before we got Cauliflower on the team. And then the last group of centers, he said the third group was Tari and KJ. And to me, what I read it as is his initial rotation is going to be the 3 of, people might seem to be shocked at this, but Jabari, Şengün, and Tate are going to play that 5-out-5. And then the backups for them at 5 are going to be whoever our veteran centers are. Then to me, when he named Tari and KJ, I see them as with the potential to play maybe the 5, but I'm seeing them more as overlapping 3s and 4s. So I'm thinking he named them just because they asked about 4s and 5s. And I think Tari and KJ are going to be leaning towards the 4 part of that question. That's why he didn't name them as the second wave, because obviously think they're going to get more minutes than Bruno and whoever, Boban or Willie Cauley-Stein. So yeah, I think that was an interesting thing. And if he's saying that Tate is going to be in that 4 and 5 rotation, we know Jabari and Şengün are going to start, then Tate is not starting. So I think it's going to be Eric Gordon starting in that role, and then Tate will come in and give a spell to either Şengün or Jabari, which he'll probably be the first one off the bench to do that. So I can imagine a lineup where Tate comes in and maybe Şengün goes to the bench, and it's Jabari and Tate playing the 4 and the 5, and kind of see how that goes. So their spacing never really takes a loss from that. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing that.
Yeah, I haven't heard the interviews, so I don't have much to add except
you should go look at them. You should go listen to them, Coop.
And because we were going to do that as our topic today, and then we switched over to mailbag. so I haven't listened to him
Right,
yet.
right.
So
We
it's
got
amazing.
our boy Terry Agent 299. What's up, Terry?
Hey,
He's
Terry, what's up, boy?
Terry been with us since we had what? How many subs, Frank? He been with us since we had like
Since the
10
mud,
subs.
bro.
Since we had like 10 subs. I think he was one of our first. And Terry want to know thoughts on moving Garuba in a Gordon trade and keeping KJ.
Moving who? Moving Garuba in a Gordon
Garuba.
trade.
I'm
For
gonna
what?
come out as against that. I'm gonna come out anti-trade Garuba, keep KJ.
Who
Gordon
wants
trade and
who
keeping.
I mean
Who wants
who
Garuba?
wants Garuba? That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to figure out.
I want Garuba. Okay, they can trade Garuba to a team that maybe actually treats him like a part of the team, but we'll see.
Oh man, they treat him like the party.
I mean,
I don't know, bro.
he's not
Who
doing
would want
himself no
Garuba?
favor. Just he can't stay
The
healthy right
Spanish
now.
team? You think the Spanish team would take him back and send us like some
Oh, they'll send us
some
Sergio Yul for,
nah,
for
they'll
Garuba.
send us some smoked ham or something from Spain. Some prosciutto. I don't know if y'all be eating. I'll take some cheese and ham for
Send us some Spanish fineries and you can
yeah,
have
some. I can't think of an NBA team that would. He's not even a salary filler, honestly. Like, so I don't know. He's gonna
Yeah, I
be
don't
here. I
know
think
what
he's
his trade worth is right now. I don't know what his trade worth is. Um, let's go. Let's see. We got another question. Your boy Kevy Kev, he said, "Who will win the Rookie of the Year?" This he hit us on the post. Who will win Rookie of the Year? My best bet, almost like a K Jalen situation, just because I think Paolo is gonna have the ball a whole lot, and he's gonna have the opportunities to put up the numbers. I think I'm gonna go with Paolo Banchero. He might win the Rookie of the Year.
So I have two answers. I because this is like my whole bit. But I think Chet is my favorite for Rookie of the Year because I think there's a real chance that guys just attack him over and over again this year, just wanting to slam it on him, and he has like a historic block rate. Very excited. But my sleeper pick is Keegan Murray because voters don't watch bad teams. I think the Kings are going to be decent and kind of fun, and Keegan Murray's a perfect fit. And I think there's a real chance that like Scotty Barnes was not better than Franz or arguably even Mobley this year, but he played on the Raptors, and that's why he won Rookie of the Year. So I think the same thing could happen to Keegan. I don't think Keegan's Scotty level, but yeah.
I definitely in fact I kind of agree with Coop. I would say Paolo first, but if it's not Paolo, because I'm thinking about the formula for Rookie of the Year now. It changes every kind of 5 years. Used to be just the best rookie. Now it's like you got to be on the winning team as well. So I think the Kings are out of the top, the top 4 teams, 5 teams. They'll probably have the best record, and they may even get into the play and be playing meaningful basketball. And I think if Keegan actually keeps showing, because his game is real, it's easily translatable to an NBA game. Like he's coming off of screens, he's doing a lot of like dribble pull-ups, walking into his threes. He's a great shooter, and he's a pretty good defender. And I think if he can put up like 15 to 18 points a game, be on have good usage a little bit, and be able to be on a team that's in the play-in or makes the playoffs, then just like Scotty Barnes, he'll be able to steal that away from one of the rookies that's probably a better talent than he is overall. So yeah, I could see him definitely creeping into that.
Yeah. All right. This is the last call for any questions. Hit us in the chat. This is a live chat. If anybody watching, go ahead and drop it in the chat. If not, we will be wrapping up here pretty soon. We're knocking on the hour. We really thought we weren't gonna have this big of a turnout. We really didn't. We really didn't think we was gonna have this many questions. But because this is our first time really doing this in a long while live stream. But as far as our subs and our fans for the Rockets, we appreciate the love that y'all showing us. Once again, we appreciate everything y'all sharing and liking the videos, watching them. Frank, he's still bringing the heat with the breakdowns. Coop, Coop, you said you got a video you're gonna drop soon, right?
Yeah, I've been having school and work stuff, so it's a little bit behind schedule, but it is in the works. And I'm figuring out how to actually make a video, so that's kind of also slowing down my process, but it is coming. My
Yeah.
Jacob video will see the light of day.
Right. So we still got James, shout out to the whole Chop Shop crew. Thank everybody for watching. Thank you. This was a pretty successful live stream in my eyes. And we should be, trying to do this a little bit more often. Our schedule's a little conflicted sometimes. So we try to get out content and try to keep touch with the fan base as good as we can. And this was just a nice experience to know how our fans looking at our team and who's excited about the team. And we appreciate all the feedback, all the love once again. Thank you for joining the Chop Shop. We will be out. Keep looking for all the good content. Thanks, everybody. Let's go Rockets.